All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. How's it going? How's it going? This is JB. We're now with the
I'm
back with
Tim.
another episode. How you doing, Tal? What's happening, my brother?
I'm good, man. How about you?
Oh man, I'm excited. Oh boy, am I excited. We have a special guest on this episode of your Gen X Gentlemen. By the way, we are the Gen X Gentlemen. Please like and subscribe below. You're gonna really gonna want to stay around to the end of this. We have some good stuff here for you. All right. So for the most part, I'm going to just bring our special guest on, and we're going to ask him some questions. This is going to be interesting because this is going to be an episode in and around. Tell us about what you told me before when it comes to those who have made their transition to another country for purpose of that case. What was that term called?
Passport bros or passport brothers?
Passport Bros, Passport Brothers. Okay, and we happen to have one on our show today. We're going to bring him in on, but for the most part, we want to appreciate you guys again for being with us. And you got anything else to add before we bring our special guest on?
I'll say it now, and I'm probably going to say it at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm joining the passport bros list, and I'm probably going to defect myself.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but we'll get some insight from our guests. All right, so let's bring them on.
All right.
Carlos, my brother.
Hey, what's up? What's up, man? How y'all doing?
Doing well, man. Thank you so much for joining us, my brother. We appreciate you being here, man.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Nice to meet you, brother.
yeah, man.
You too, Tal.
Mm-hmm. All right, so check this out. I'm gonna lower the volume just a little bit, and okay. So how we're gonna initially do this is we're going to have Carlos introduce himself based on some things that he'd like to share, and then we're going to just have a question answering a session. You know, and we have a little time. He's been gracious enough to allow us to have a little time, and we'll see what goes on. So, Carlos, please introduce yourself.
Hey, out there in internet land. My name is Carlos. I'm originally from the Caribbean. You know, I came to Atlanta back in 1987, and came for college. You know, and was there for 35 years. You know, but first time I came to the States was 1980. I moved to Houston, Texas. Stayed there a few years, then went to New York. Lived in the Bronx. Went back home to the islands for 1 year, finished high school, and then came back up in '87 for college. You know, when I first came to Atlanta, I liked Atlanta a lot. You know, Atlanta was a very friendly place. The South was, the Southern hospitality was definitely in effect. You know, but just over I would say the past decade or so, decade to 15 years, it has been changing. You know, and the changes I've seen in the South and just even in America when it comes to our brothers and sisters left me kind of discouraged, you know, towards the future, you know. So what I've been seeing, I was like, you know what, this is no longer, I think a lot of blacks outside the U.S., thrive, right? And even in the U.S., thrive a lot too. But what's happening now is that I think with social media, it's always been the music too, you know. But with social media, and now we got access to so much information. There's so many more party favorites or drugs, you know, things that keep us distracted and not focused on what we need to be focused on, you know. And now, you know, our children and our grandchildren aren't, you know, they're not as productive as our generation, you know. And from my standpoint, you know, I used to work in a barbershop, so for about 30 years, and so I've seen the generations. I've seen at least 30 years worth of people coming and going, and seeing how instead of us getting better, we've actually been deteriorating as a race of people. And
Right.
it kind of left me kind of sad and heartbroken, and I was like, well, so now I'm in my 50s, and I'm like, I don't think I can no longer effect change. At one point in time, I was, with the young people, mentoring a lot of young men, to push them to do better, and to go on and improve themselves, But too many of our young men are falling through the cracks based on, association, drugs, alcohol. Especially now, there's a big fascination with marijuana. We all know it's the gateway drug, right? And although our kids don't feel that way, they have young, immature minds. So the men, when you're a teenager and your mind, listen, your frontal lobe hasn't even closed for by the time you're 21. For some of us, it seems like it never closes, right?
Right.
Because we still doing dumb stuff in our late 20s, 30s, and 40s.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like I said, I think our generation dropped the ball because we were so resentful towards our parents for not giving us the stuff that we wanted. They gave us what we needed,
Mm.
right? So now when we started having kids, we started spoiling our kids, and our kids they do not know the value of a dollar. They
Mm.
don't know what it is to work hard for money because everything is given to them, you know. So with that being said, I said, you know what, I don't have, I think about it because once you pass 50, you don't live more than half your life, right? So I said I decided that I'm gonna stop stressing about the things I can't change, but the one thing I can change is my zip code and my country code, right? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and when I was in the States, last 2 3 years, I noticed myself being more angry and just being very unhappy. So I decided to do something about it, and I'm so much happier where I'm at right now. And down here, the culture is different. The people are what people used to be like about 30, 35 years ago, 40 years ago.
Mm.
The people down here are much more polite. Everybody says good morning, hey, how you doing? People are genuinely, if something happens to you, they will respond, not pull out their cameras or their phones to record you and your whatever mishap is happening to you, and not render help or aid.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
those are the subtle differences that I've noticed since I've been here. And I said, you know what? I don't want to be an old person or in my 70s or 80s wishing I could go back to what I know, or what I consider to be my paradise. Because when you grow up in the Caribbean, you're growing up in the islands, you don't realize that you are living where most people want to be.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You come to a big city, you come to the United States, and you enter the rat race. And
Right.
believe you me, it's truly a rat race,
Yes.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
the little simple stuff I used to I started missing that stuff. Like on Sundays we would go to the beach. And the way home from work, everybody always kept some swim trunks and a towel in your trunk of your car, so you could take a dip,
Mm-hmm.
in the beach before you go home. Um, all the natural fruits and vegetables, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Um, so being down here, I'm like in heaven, man, because I get to eat all this fresh seafood I want, and
Mm-hmm.
not have to be raked over the coals, for it. Same thing with the fruits and vegetables. Um, Everything tastes different. It tastes more fresh, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have to worry about hormones, steroids, pesticides, herbicides,
Mm.
insecticides. Yeah, down here in Central and South America, they do not allow any kind of what you call it, any kind of herbicides or
GMO.
anything. GMO,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no GMOs, and you cannot
Right.
spray the land with anything. The soil here is rich volcanic soil. And a matter of fact, hey, in Panama, I think we got three volcanoes just in the area. You know,
Mm. Mm.
yeah. So the soil is rich volcanic soil, and that's why you need a lot of bananas and mangoes and a lot of coffee, and they grow some of the best coffee in the world. And up here by the volcano up here, it's called Volcancito and Volcan Baru. You know, so and I took a tour up there and whatnot, you know, and it was excellent, you know.
So, well, I thank you so much for that, man. Just tell a little bit more of what happened with you and your story, man. I mean, so we met many years ago, man. I mean, let me tell you a little bit about Carlos, man. Here's what happened. I misstepped a date based on having to be able to get a haircut, and I was trying my best to, you know, find a place that had a haircut. Nobody was open on Sunday and Monday, right? And I had to get to an event. If I'm not mistaken, it was on a Monday, and so I searched around, right, and there was nobody open. And next thing you know, I'm going past. Wait a minute, there's a place that's open right there. Are they cutting hair? So I go into the place, and sure enough, there's Carlos. He's cutting heads. And as a result of doing a walk-in, I get a haircut on a Sunday. That does not happen when it comes to when you see on in the States. There's no haircuts on Sundays and Mondays. So he saved me just by allowing me to get a haircut on a Sunday, man. And he did that. He told me, he said, you know what? I said, man, what are you doing with this Sunday haircuts? He said, man, I don't go by that tradition stuff. I'm here to make this money, right? And that was his philosophy. He kept it going. So whenever I needed a Sunday haircut, because I had an original barber. My barber was not open on Sunday. And so that's what I did. That's how we met. And we've known each other ever since. He was my son's barber. My son misses you, by the way, man. He misses you. Yes, man. So of course I went back to my other barber, but I cherish the time I get a chance to have with Carlos, because he hooked me up on that Sunday. Appreciate you, my brother.
Well, you're welcome, man.
So I thank you again for just being here with us, man.
Yeah.
Tell. Do you have any questions for our guests, man? Just to understand some of the things, because you have a little bit of similar type thing. But what are your questions for Carlos?
Yes. Man, you hit talking points that were spot on, resonate with me. First question: where do you hail from, man? You say you're from the Caribbean. Do you want to disclose where you're from?
Yeah, the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas. Yes, Virgin Islands.
Okay. Okay. All right. Shout out to St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. You said something that's so poignant and struck a chord right with me. I'm right there with you. You said you feel or you felt at the time being in the States, you can no longer affect change.
Exactly.
And I couldn't agree with you more. I too, probably it impacted me, I would say almost 15 to me, probably 20 years ago or so. I noticed. I'll say right around maybe 2002, right after 9/11, or actually a little before it. I saw some changes in the culture because I was still single and trying to date, and I noticed there was a few things that impacted. Social media, you're right. Social media is one of the biggest factors, but the transition, the change, and the denigration of hip hop music. R&B is dead, and hip hop took over, and it took over in a monstrous way. It was no longer an art form; it became a culture of it in and of its own. Those two things single-handedly have changed the whole dynamics of Western culture, because America really is the centrifugal point of Western culture. Western culture is still, it's the other places that are impacted heavily with it is the UK and Canada. So all of North America and UK are pretty much just Westernized. And this new form is not good. It's highly toxic. And I'm not trying to use the word to kill it like a lot of people overuse it and kill it. I'm saying it in the truest, that's the most accurate word I can use to describe it. Also, you said you were, and I'm right there with you, man. You were angered by the culture fear or the lack thereof. And like you, I too feel like I am the last of a dying breed. Us as Gen Xers, period. And I want to say a lot of us Gen Xers are responsible for not carrying on the values that we were raised under, because that's dead and gone. We're relics. It's a dehumanized mentality because of social media, which was perpetuated first with hip hop. A lot of negativity in hip hop is definitely dehumanized in those regions. I'm hearing a lot about Canada. The young women are their mindsets are just like in the United States, which is just like in the UK. One of the biggest things that I've seen is impacted in just the young women, and we're going to ask you to talk a little about whatever time you have to share with us. I think we're doing pretty good on time still, but most of the young people don't engage in a humanistic way. They're dehumanized. They're not civilized at all. The texting, the smartphones have caused everyone to be dummies. I can't remember. I don't even memorize phone numbers. I used to take pride in memorizing phone numbers. I still only remember my mother's phone number, and I know mine. I don't even think I remember my sister's. So those things have made us lazy and damaged us, and there's a lot of conditioning, social conditioning and programming from these devices that have taken over. I'm mindful of it, but most who grew up in it, people who are under, in my opinion, under 40 are not mindful of it because they grew up in this whole technology era. We've seen a lot of things from our time. We've seen from the big old clunky so-called mobile phones to
brick phone,
to pagers, to beepers, to the coming up
two ways. Remember the two ways?
The dial-up internet. Heck, we were there for the beginning of BET and MTV.
Yeah, man.
So that's why I put the onus on us as Gen Xers. Shame on us for allowing it to get out of hand. And we, a lot of us are responsible for not teaching our children. Maybe a lot of it is because of defiance against our parents who are overly strict, especially coming from West Indian heritage myself. I think all of us are West Indian background. Probably lost sight of it and so happy for our freedom. And the worst of it happened for our women, the Black women, period. Whether there's West Indian, first generation American from West Indian culture or wherever else they hailed from, to foundational Black Americans. But that was the real question. That's all I wanted to really explain, is that I feel what you were saying wholeheartedly. And I look forward to meeting you sometime soon. We want to keep this going. I don't want to ask any more questions of you because I want to know that we can welcome you back. We'd like to have you come back as a repeat guest, even if you would afford us that opportunity and time, because I would like to not cram everything in right now. I want it to be absorbed properly, and maybe we can still help some of those who are under 40 to understand what it's like to be a decent, civilized human being, for our Black faction, young Black men, to be decent and to be proud, to hold your masculine frame. That's what the purpose of our whole channel is. So with that, I would like to, I'm going to digress now, but thank you so much for coming on, and I want to welcome you to come back repeatedly so we can have these discussions, because there's so much that you can share and offer.
Well,
great.
And to possibly, even though you don't have to deal with the foolishness and the frustration of the anger, you can probably impact it and help recondition some of those of us in our generation who's lost and the ones behind us.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, I do have some questions, Carlos, because I wanted to kind of like, before we leave off, we're probably going to do more of like another 5 minutes or so, and we definitely, I agree with Chuck, we want to bring you back because there's a lot of
questions for him. I just don't want to have them right now because I want to have repeated programs for these topics.
Exactly. Well, one of the things I want to look at is like how how much time did it take you to plan based on making your move to Panama? I mean, and why Panama? Why did you choose Panama? How much time did it take you to decide on making that move? Did you go to other places to
Yeah,
make
I
that
did.
decision? And then why Panama?
Yeah. Okay. So when on my 50th, I went to Costa Rica to visit. Initially I was
Because I heard
looking.
Costa Rica had it going on though, right? I
Yeah, yeah, they do, but okay, it's kind of like initially I was going to go to the DR, right? But then remember we had a series of bad hurricanes, year after
and
year
an
after year.
earthquake across the way. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that right off the rip, I was like, I'm not doing that. I can't move somewhere where, um, you know, if I'm in my 60s and 70s, my house gets destroyed. I have to start all over again. So
Right.
that's yeah. And then I went to and I've been a lot of places. I've been down to Brazil. I like Brazil a lot. At one point in the early 2000s, I went down for about a whole decade. Like every year
Ooh.
I was going down there. I liked it, but
Yeah. See,
um,
Tell has not been to Brazil. You need to one day. You bring some memories of how we've seen Brazil.
uh,
Okay.
yes, Brazil. Yeah, Brazil is nice, and went to Thailand. The year after I went to London. Also, been to a lot of different places, and so in the past decade, I actually been looking. I've been talking about hey, wanting to get out the U.S. Because I was like, okay, I think I overstayed my welcome by like 20 years. And
Mm.
whatnot. Yeah, like I did. But you start living your life and creating a life for yourself. And buying houses and cars, and and you get further entrenched into the rat race. And so then what happened is, but for the past 5 years, I was seriously like going to places to see, where I would like to live. I like Thailand; it's just too far. There's the
Mm-hmm.
language barrier. Although they speak English, I can't
Mm-hmm.
make head or tails of their language, as far as written or verbally speaking,
Mm-hmm.
I could understand the Portuguese, because I already speak Spanish, so that,
Mm-hmm.
all the Latin-based languages I can understand, the
Mm-hmm.
Italian, the French, all that stuff. Um, and then when I went to Costa Rica, I liked it, but it felt a little too rural in that, you know, it didn't have a good mixture of city, rural, and
Mm-hmm.
living in Atlanta, is like if I want the city, I could just drive into the city 40 minutes,
Right.
30,
Right.
40 minutes
Mm-hmm.
in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could be in the suburbs and yet still not feel like you're missing out on anything.
Right.
But when I came to Panama, there's several things. Panama is like, I mean, it puts Atlanta to shame. If you come to Panama, if I have to send you some videos about Panama, but there's so much to do here,
Mm-hmm.
And so when I
Did you know anybody there? Did you know anybody there?
yeah, a friend of mine, his name is Ernesto, and he had been inviting me to come down for like a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened is my last trip when I went to Japan and Thailand, I just didn't want to have such a long trip again. So I
Right.
said, let me go. So I called him up. I was like, where you at? He's like, I'm down here. How long you gonna be there? So I made my plans to come in. He's like, come on down. So I came. I said, I need to take advantage of the fact that I know somebody that's from Panama
Right.
that's there right now.
Right.
So and I
Mm-hmm.
did
Mm-hmm.
that. The best decision I made. Came down here March 1st of 2020. Came back on I think it like the 8th or the 9th, and then April 1st the world shut down.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
whole time we
COVID.
were shut, yeah, the whole time we were shut down. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Couldn't stop thinking about Panama. I said, I went as a tourist. I said, but next time I go, I need to go as with eyes of okay, like could I live here?
Right.
You know, yeah, because I had went 25 years before going back to St. Thomas where I'm from,
Mm.
right? And then I went to visit, but the minute I got there, I was like, I can't live here, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, you know,
Hmm.
I mean, I
You
always
couldn't go
like
back home. You couldn't go back home, huh?
yeah, just the mentality, you know, it's U.S. territory, and the people act just as crazy as the people
Oh,
in the States. You see what I'm saying?
it got
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
westernized. It got westernized.
yeah. It's off the chain,
Hmm.
you know. And then it's the island is a small island, so you know, I would have to like live secluded from, you know, and just not, you know. But I've been gone for so long, you know.
Yeah,
I know people from childhood, but you know, I kind of stay to myself anyway, you know. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, but then I had to take into consideration hurricane after every year. You have to deal with
Mm.
hurricanes, you know,
Hmm.
and so forth, and water issues, and it, you know, if the electricity goes out, so and it's extremely expensive. So, but
Right.
when I came here, um, what I did, I started doing some research online, and I found out that Panama is ranked number one and number two, you know, for the past decade or so, as far as places for expats to move to. You know,
Okay.
yeah, you know, and that was based on Forbes magazine. You see what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Okay.
Forbes magazine, yeah. It used to be for about 15, 20 years, it was Costa Rica, you know.
Right. I've been hearing nothing
But
but good things about Costa Rica. Costa Rica.
yeah,
Costa Rica.
exactly.
Hmm.
But that's it. But that's if you want to live, you know, like the other expats, you know, who you know they tend to like to be in the bush, in the jungle. You know, I don't want to
Right.
live like that. You know, and whatnot. You know,
Right.
you know, I don't want to rough it that bad. You know,
Hmm.
so. But yeah, according to Forbes magazine, you know, listen, the healthcare system, they use the dollar. They got their healthcare system is on par with the U.S. because their doctors are U.S. trained doctors.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They use the dollar, you know, which is good. It's a short flight from Atlanta here. It's 3.5 hours. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Yeah. The food, the weather, you know, the food is, you know, and the cost of living is definitely cheaper than being in Atlanta. You know,
Hmm.
the people, love the culture, you know, and then you get to see more Afro Latinos like myself, you know, here, you know,
Mm.
if you're in Costa Rica, you have to pretty much go to certain places where you know they're kind of like segregated. You see what I'm saying, and whatnot.
Right.
You know, so and you know, so yeah, Panama is a very welcoming place. You know, so I love it from that perspective, and you know, the people here, you know, they're very friendly, you know, and very helpful, you know. So people believe that, you know what, I got to speak Spanish. No, you don't. You know what I mean?
Right. Hmm.
They want to speak English. A lot of Panamanians speak English, you know, and a lot of Spanish speaking countries, they rather have friends that speak English because that's how they learn English. You know,
Right.
you learn Spanish, they learn English. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, you know, and
Hmm.
whatnot. You know, so yeah, it's you know, it checked all the boxes for me, and if I needed to go back home to see my mom, you see what I'm saying, or whatever, I could, you know, it's a short flight. You know,
Short flight.
even yeah, even if I had to go up and come back the same day, I could do that. You know,
Nice. Yes.
and
Okay.
whatnot. You know, so yeah, definitely Panama has its advantages big time.
Okay. All right. Well, again, we wanted to have this first, you know, introduction to you and understand a
Hmm.
little bit more of, you know, what happened, why. You know what I'm saying? And we could get into a lot more of that at another time, but we appreciate it just based on the fact that, you know, there's a lot of what you're saying, man, when it comes to the changes here in the U.S. And
Hmm.
over the past couple of years, we've all had to deal with it. So you have now acted on it, and you are now there living that life. And
Hmm.
we just wanted that insight to see it and to understand it. And we eventually want to take a trip. You know what I'm saying? You took a trip, and now it's something that may, you know, we'd like to see about doing. And I know you've had a lot of people who have come down since you've been there, right? You've
Yeah. And also, I forgot. You know, so what happened is, so last year in 2021 in August, you know, if you just go to YouTube and type in Panama relocation, so
mhm,
lady name her name is Jackie Lange. She has it's called a Panama Relocation Tour. So
right.
and the website is called Panama Relocation. You know, Panama Relocation .com. And
Mhm,
so she had a tour. She had a tour where I decided I booked and I flew down and came down here and you know had a good feel for all of Panama. You know they you know the pick you up from the airport. They set up the hotel, transportation. It was good to not have to worry about, food, a lot, everything. They took care of
Right.
everything, and so I got to go to a lot of the places that even most people that live here haven't even been to.
Okay.
So yeah, so I came down for 2 weeks, and man, when I went back, it was a done deal. I was like, I'm out of here. You
Wow.
know, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of here. People have been offering to buy my house and stuff. The market was red hot last year. So I sold, and I sold everything and left. Don't regret it. Don't ever want to
Mm.
go back to the States and live. I've been back one
Mm.
time to visit
So wait.
Too long.
You don't miss anything here? Not one thing?
Not a thing.
Wow. Mm.
God
Not a
bless you,
thing.
man. God bless you. You did not get brainwashed like a lot of my relatives, even to my sister. And I have another buddy who is of Jamaican descent, and they all tell me, you keep complaining about the U.S. and why don't you just leave? Well, I'm preparing to leave. I just had to get a plan together, a financial plan. So it's not just easy to up and go if you don't have things in place or a certain
Right.
amount of financial wealth and saved up. So
Right.
I'm going to be making my way. I'll give myself about 2 or 3 more years and I'm done.
Yeah, got you.
I think we're both, and I won't say in terms of how they work, but that 2 year plan sounds about right. In terms of one understanding and seeing where you're at when it comes. And as Gen Xers, man, we want to. I think we want a lifestyle that we remember. You know what I'm saying? That we understood. So many years ago. That it's not here anymore. It's just
Yeah.
not. Okay, and
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah,
part of
America.
it.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. America has become a very hostile place, especially
Yes.
hostile towards African Americans. So and
Yes.
I mean not just from other races, but even amongst
And
ourselves. You see
Yes.
what I'm saying? It's like we're
Yes.
cannibalizing on ourselves. We don't have respect for each other anymore. We
Yes.
don't have we
None.
don't have respect. We don't have respect for like for instance, like when kids would come in the shop, and what those are the generation below us. Those are
Millennials.
the millennials and the ones below them.
Gen
Mind you,
Zers.
the Gen Zs, right? They'll come in the shop, and even and they have at least when we were kids coming up. If we were cutting up, once we saw an adult, we would stop. They don't even
Right.
have enough common sense to stop.
Right.
Cursing or acting up or whatever the case is. And if you say something to them, then they want to do something to you. So they don't have any respect. But like I said, I think our generation dropped the ball. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I remember I had a coworker of mine. He was 10 years younger than myself, and he said, I'll never forget this. He said when he have his kids, he is not going to teach them to say yes sir or yes ma'am or no sir or no ma'am. And so we asked him why. He said because it seems like slave talk or how slaves would. I said, and I was like, no, that's that. We all got
That's
on.
being polite. That's respectful.
Yeah. Respectful towards your elders, because you are not on the same level with that person.
No.
And but he just didn't see it that way. So think about this. So if he felt that way, so think about it. From generation to generation, things get lost. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? And that's a big. If everybody feels like him, and who is 10 years younger, then imagine the people that are 10 years younger from him.
Yes.
which would be our grandkids.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so forth. So when values aren't being passed on, and just even little common sense things, I will tell you another thing that's really hurting our kids is the video games. It's desensitizing them.
Yes.
I agree.
They think that because you could pull a trigger on a video game.
Yes.
They have and then and don't get me started with the single moms and the mothers that
We won't. We got another time. We will talk about those things. Yes.
Listen, man, we want you to come back.
We want you to come back because we need to talk about those
different aspects. There's a lot to take in.
Yes.
There's a lot that caused your anger and my anger.
Yeah, and frustration, and just the fact that even our sisters, they just don't have a healthy respect for men anymore, and they act. Yeah, boy, let me tell you.
Okay. Well, hold that thought. That's going to be in another time because we know there's going to be probably just one full thing on just the women, just the abilities that that we have had to deal with, and we're all subject to that. Okay. All right. So we're right at the minute mark that we want to probably leave out, but I guess want also to know when it comes to. You said that the people are there, the cost of living, the food, all those things that you have in Panama, and you said you don't miss anything, right? When it comes to, you said you had to get on a plane because your mom is where now? Where is she exactly? Where is she?
She's in Atlanta.
All right, so she's here, right?
Yeah.
So you come here, like this is what happens to me. I got to go back to the Bronx. You talked about the boogie down, right? When I go back there, I can only take maybe a week. If I have to go more than a week or two in the Bronx, I am just, I don't know what to do with myself. I got to get the heck out of there. How long a time frame now would you say if you came back for that see mom and whatever, how long would it take?
Well, after my last visit, I was there 2 weeks. I was ready to leave after 2 days.
Wow.
But I had to tie up some loose ends and whatnot, So now, I really don't even want to come back and visit. I'm going back to see my mom for a couple of days, see my son. Because it's gonna be his birthday.
Right.
I am not spending. Listen, I was angry getting on the plane and leaving here to go back there. I was like, I did not want to, and then and when I got there, I couldn't wait to leave.
Okay, so that's the same thing. Same thing like in the Bronx. I got to go there. I'm ready to go the second day. I'm like, please get me the heck out of here.
The minute I landed in Atlanta, I was like, I'm back in this raggedy. I was like, I say raggedy because our people look terrible. We don't represent ourselves right. I'm tired of seeing the females that think they're boys and the boys that think they're girls. And everybody is trying to be tougher than nails, right?
Right.
It's kind of like that's what I was saying. Our society is degrading and decaying. And then on top of that, it's like I said, we know that. When the previous administration was in, it opened up a lot of old wounds. You see what I'm saying? And that mindset is still prevalent.
Yes,
and it's about to get worse. We got the elections coming up. I decided I was done. I'm not. I've been in my last elections.
You ain't never lied because if this administration indicts the previous administration, people are going to nut up, okay? And the first thing that they're going to do based on that...
He should have been indicted because, he's done so many criminal things, but, his position...
Yes.
Of course, he has the complexion for the protection,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's his privilege, his privilege and his
absolutely
is keeping him,
Absolutely.
Thinking he's a Teflon Don, untouchable.
We won't go there right now because we can. That's another excerpt of why there's going to be a transition away from here because there's so many who are like him who are more than willing to do whatever because they feel as though they can because of that privilege that he has exploited throughout the whole time that he's been in that position. So we'll go there again some other time. But bro, I want to thank you again, man. We're at that 40-minute mark, man. But man, we could literally talk to you and ask you questions on a regular because we're already there, man, and we want to.
I don't know if you're there. Don't speak too quick. You're not there.
Well, okay. I have to say,
Carlos, he's still love Atlanta. So
I'm,
he ain't nowhere near
I'm
there yet. He needs some reprogramming.
okay. All right. Okay. Maybe I'm not all the way there. But what I'm
Yeah, you're
saying
about
is, what
20%
I'm
there.
saying. Okay. What I'm saying is, we need to plan a visit to Panama, and we need to maybe do that same tour that you just talked about. Shout out to Miss Jackie. And we're gonna maybe you send us our information. We'll put that in the description below. Okay. Because far be it from me to say that this is something that we have looked at or Tel has specifically looked at, but I'm here to say, man, I'm just about to be there too. Okay, I'm not all the way there like you two are, but I'm almost there. Okay, and
Yep.
maybe it'll take a visit to Panama and some more of those great videos and pictures that you're sending me. Because I have to say I'm jealous. I am jealous. Okay. So the mere fact that you've spoiled me with some of those pictures of the beautiful countryside and the beautiful people and the views that you have from all over. Yes, I'm a little envious and jealous of that happening. So, but yeah, man, I'm gonna leave it at that, man. I appreciate your time.
Let me tell you, you come down, all you need is 2-3 days. You come down here, you're gonna be like, yeah, let me talk to your mama. Yeah, you and the kids have a good life because trust me. You come down here,
he did the what's the movie? He did the thing for the movie. Like let me speak to your mama. Harlem Nights. Harlem Nights. Let me speak to your mother.
You and the kids have a good life.
It didn't even take me because I had transplanted to Atlanta from Florida. And Florida disgusted me.
Okay. Which part of Florida you was in?
I was all over. I had right before I touched down in Atlanta 2019, I was in Orlando for about a year. Prior to that, I was in Fort Lauderdale subset, like Plantation, Lauderdale area. Well, actually, I was actually in the heart of Fort Lauderdale downtown. And on and off, I lived there for many years, half my life. Orlando, Tampa area. South Florida is beautiful to look at. Southwest Florida and Southeast Florida is beautiful to look at. So from the West Coast Naples all the way to Miami. But the people know. And I thought Atlanta, my visions of Atlanta was like my last memories of it from late 80s and 90s. About 6 months in Atlanta, I was 6 months. I was so disgusted. Totally transformed from what it was in the 80s.
Yeah. The 80s were the good old days,
Yeah, I was disgusted. So, yeah, that being said, man, thank you, brother. I know there's going to be some good talks ahead. We're going to write everything down and get it well organized and get you to divulge little by little. So we make good programs out of this and for the people to understand the era and the quality Gen Xers, because there's a lot that weren't. Obviously, you see how things got out of hand.
Right.
So those of us that came from good cultural backgrounds and quality, how only a few of us could only do so much because it got infected and infested with a mindset that took on a whole other monster.
Yeah.
Hey, check this out. I got a friend of mine in Atlanta, and he was kind of sad I was leaving. He said because Carlos, I mean, we about the same age, and he said, I've been knowing you for at least 30 years. He said we need more people in our talent pool like yourself, that could help guide the next generation. I said, but I'm tired of having that fight with these young men, because they ain't listening. You see what I'm saying? They listen when you talk to them. They tell you, they say when you ask them who's there, they'll be like the people on the internet, their friends. They listen more to their peers than wisdom. You see what I'm saying? And
Yes.
even listen, if a king doesn't have wise counsel, right? He's not going to be a king for too long. You see what I'm saying?
Right, right.
And whatnot, when if you don't surround yourself with some wisdom or some people that, I had a friend of mine who, when he was having problems with his son, professional guy, he made six figures, his wife made six figures, his son went to the NFL. You see what I'm saying? And he told him, he said, look, he just simple analogy. And his father's a little older than I am, maybe about 5 years. And he said, son, if somebody dropped you off, took you to Africa and dropped you off dead in the jungle, would you want to navigate your way back to civilization by yourself or with a jungle guide? He said, a jungle guide. He said, why? He said, because, I'll probably die, because, the wild animals and all that stuff. He said, well, what you think me and your mother are? We are this is a jungle. This is just a concrete jungle. And there's, think you're a young man, you got a multi-million-dollar contract, and you got the predators out here waiting to get to you. And when he made that analogy to him, he stopped the foolishness and started listening to his father. He said, do you think we want the best for you, or do you think we want what's the worst for you?
Right.
Wow, that's amazing. He stopped to listen.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to reach him, with us males, sometimes we get to a point where we don't want to listen to nobody but ourselves.
Right.
And we want to listen to our friends, I'm going to do it because my friend said, and I'm like, your friend don't know anything.
Right.
Now your parents used to tell you, so if your friends jump off a bridge, you're going to jump off.
You're going to do it. You're going to do it. Yep. You're going to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have to be, you have to be able to think for yourself and not, and then it's all right to stand off in the crowd and not follow the crowd, and you be your own person.
Right. Well, man, we appreciate these nuggets, man, just based on the things that you've told us so far, man. And man, please come back. Please come back and talk to us because
I'll be definitely back.
Because we have a lot of.
And I am going to bring some friends with me.
Okay, well, see, bruh, we need them. We need them.
Yeah.
We need them because here's the thing, man. We're trying to reach a generation, like you said. We messed up in some of the things that we did, right? But there's still a lot out there who need our help. They still do, and they just can't find us. They don't know where we are, and we're hopeful that we can, our Gen X Gentleman channel will assist them and give them a better understanding that, okay, you know what? You ain't got to stay here. You don't have to stay here. There's a big old world out there that you can go see, right? Mm-hmm. And so the things that you're going to bring to the table, the things that we want to express to them, when it comes to the relationships, money, health, all these things that affect us and our generation. We're, and granted, yes, we're in our 50s, but we got a lot of wisdom that we can offer, and a lot of things that we can do that. So we appreciate that, and in terms of where you are right now, and where there's a lot of people who are going to listen to you, man, and going to maybe reach out. Can they reach out to you? If we have some people who see this, is there people who can reach out? Okay.
Yeah, they can reach out.
Okay, all right. Well, do you have some place where they rather reach out to? Which is there social or email or something that you may want to pass our way that we can extend out?
What you call it? You could they can reach me on I don't really do social media like that, but on WhatsApp,
Okay. All right. Well, we won't divulge that right now. But if anyone does contact us and wants to reach out, we'll put them in contact with you, because we think that just the mere fact that you're there, man, that you're going to have a lot of people who listen, who hear us, and will say, you know what, I want to take a trip to Panama. And I want to see
one thing. Since I've been here, there's a lot more of our people are coming.
I can imagine.
And they're coming down. They're coming down in droves. They're buying property. But see, the thing is, a lot of them also are, in their 60s, 65,
Right.
And whatnot. And I just didn't want to be that old dude, how many years, like, you're too old to do anything. You see what I'm saying?
Right. The time is now. We're at that we're at that middle ground age where, yes, it is the process of making that move. So yes, I got you.
And I will tell you this much, America has people brainwashed into thinking that you got to work until you 65, 70, that you cannot
Yeah.
enjoy,
Mm.
you can't enjoy your life until you're 65.
Yeah.
You know, like
Social
think about
Security.
it.
Social Security.
Well, not even that. It's just that the mindset is I'm gonna work till I'm 65. I'm like,
Hmm.
why? I mean, why? You know, you understand what I'm saying? You don't have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
If you start thinking about retiring earlier, guess what? Your house should already be paid for. Stop doing stuff like buying new
Hmm.
cars. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And if or financing anyway. If you want to buy a car, pay cash for it, whatever the case is. One
Right.
of my customers, they retired from being with IBM for
Yeah.
35 years. You see what I'm saying? And the first thing they did was buy a brand new Benz. And
Mm.
but now you retired and you're complaining about the note, and now you work. Yeah, you gotta get a part-time
Another a
job.
part-time job to pay pay the
Yeah,
vehicle. Yes.
no, just to help supplement your income. Because what
Mm.
people don't realize is that when think about it. If you're already struggling when you had 100% of your income, when you retire, you had about 40 to 50% of your income when you retire.
Right. Right.
So when you're trying to make ends meet with 50%, that wasn't enough when you had 100% income.
Mm.
So it's like, okay, so why even bother to retire? Just stay on your job and just
Yeah. Yeah.
pay your house off, pay your credit cards off, pay all that stuff off, and then you could take a cut in your in your
Right.
income, so to speak.
Right.
But retirement
Absolutely.
is not retirement if you have to retire to go work again.
Go work again. Yes. Yes. Especially in something that you don't want to do. That's the thing. So a lot of people retire and they go do something they don't want to do to make those ends meet. So hey, I got you. All right. Well, listen. I know we ran long. I appreciate you again, man, just for being here. And whatever we can do to try and accommodate you to bring you back, we will do. All right.
Okay.
And this has been great, man. Been wonderful. You got anything else that you want to ask before we close out?
No, man, brother, it's great meeting you. I look forward to many more conversations with you. Really
Oh yeah, definitely. And you look forward to y'all coming down and just
Yeah, man.
having a good
Yeah,
time.
It's
man.
gonna happen soon.
We're gonna have to make that.
I have to do it within 6 months.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay, cool.
Ooh. Okay. All right.
People don't realize it really isn't that expensive. A round trip airfare could run you about $400.
Wow, that's nothing.
Yeah, that's not because when I bought
What's the hotels like? What's the hotel like? What's the hotels or the Airbnbs?
Yeah, you could do Airbnb, or you could do hotels. The hotels could run you anywhere from $50 to $100 a night. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, what? 50 to 100? That's it? Oh
As a
man.
matter of fact, when I came in the first time, I stayed at the Courtyard Marriott, and I was paying it was $80 a night.
What? Okay.
Yeah,
That's not bad.
Centrally located. In the heart of downtown Panama.
Mm-hmm.
And everything. Uber is $1, $2.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We gonna have to do something about this, bro. Okay.
I figure maybe around February, March I'll be there.
February, March. Okay.
Okay. All right.
That's cool.
What? And you said in February, March. What's the weather gonna be like there compared to here? Because it's gonna be cold as hell here.
No, it's warm. December is when we go into summer here.
Oh wow. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Say
no more.
Yeah.
Say no more. Okay. All right. Well, hey man, this has been great. We appreciate you being here. For everyone who's joined us today, man, we thank you for rocking with us. Our special guest Carlos is just been so gracious with the time. He's gave us some nuggets. He's allowed us to understand what's it like to make this transition, and we're going to have him back. We're going to have him back.
Absolutely.
So
All right,
Thank you, sir.
we appreciate you being here, man, and we're just gonna hey, we thank you, and we'll talk to you on the next one, and we're gonna let you go. Tell and I are gonna close it out. All right, we appreciate you, man.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you. All right.
Tell. All right, bro. Okay, man. Carlos really said it all, bro. We said it all in terms of how this would be, man. So anything that we
more to say, but we had to hold him back.
Yeah, man, and we're running long, so we thank you guys for being with us. We want you to come back. Carlos said he promised he'll be back again, and
Yeah.
we're gonna do more of these because there's a lot of people who want this kind of content. They want to learn and understand how us Gen Xers are feeling and doing and making this thing happen. So we want to bring that to you again and again and again. So please come back, like, subscribe, hit the bell. And we will definitely see you. You got anything else to tell before we make it out?
No, this has been very enlightening. I mean, a lot of it I already knew, but it's nice to see someone on the same page who can convey this to the public, because that's where I've been suffering in purgatory or what have you. It's just been torture, and I'm glad that there's someone else who's lived the experience that I'm living in America and able to do something about it. And it's awe-inspiring.
Okay, say that name again. What is it called? What that they're going to call this?
Passport Bros, Passport Brothers.
Passport Bros, boy. This is what it is. Okay, we'll see you in the next one. We appreciate you for being here, and we thank you again. We are the Gen X gentlemen. Take care. Peace.
Peace.